This is We Bleed Orange and Black, the podcast for Halloween and horror lovers. Join us as we interview creators, discuss our favorite horrors, and share original spooky stories. I'm Jeff C. Carter, and this week we're talking with Patrick Tumblety about The October Children, premiering October 3rd. Patrick Tumblety is a writer of horror, science fiction, and poetry. He is also a multimedia artist with work appearing in audio, photography, film, and television. He lives in Delaware with his wife, daughter, and an unknown quantity of puckwudgies. Welcome to the show, Patrick.
Thanks for having me back. It's good to see you again.
How are things going in sultry Delaware?
Oh, it's very sultry. Still going strong. It's 95 degrees here, and it's almost the second week of September. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Do you have some ventilated Halloween costumes planned?
Well, I am going to Disney at the end of September to do the Halloween parade. My best friend and I are going, and we're going to be dressed as characters from Ted Lasso.
Some mesh, some sweat-wicking material, some vented wind blazers. That all sounds good.
It's killing me because I want to start watching really terrible horror movies, but it's 95 degrees out, so it's kind of messing with my head. Like, I don't know if I'm ready yet.
Perhaps you can throw this out. Come up with a short list of movies with a theme of heat.
That's actually a good idea. That way you can ease into it. If you did a list of movies that like coincide with the weather outside, and so you get into full cold, like start from like The Hills Have Eyes to The Thing when it gets freezing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
I like that.
A horror movie for all seasons.
Tremors for when it's really hot.
Yeah.
To like 30 Days of Night when it starts to snow.
Throwing a little bone tomahawk and things like that.
As global warming starts taking effect, like those are going to be our Halloween parties.
Yeah. I once threw this out on the general discussion podcast that global warming is going to make Halloween a really hot, sweaty holiday. One of the ways we might be able to adapt is instead of going to Disney, we'll go to water parks for Halloween.
Ooh,
so imagine
like
a Creature from the Black Lagoon themed
that was my first
water
thought.
park,
Yeah.
Right? How awesome would that be?
That'd be awesome. Like more Jaws.
Fins in the pool waiting for you and skulls bobbing.
I like that a lot.
So we're here to get caught up on The October Children. Let's start with a look back. You were telling me that one of your favorite episodes is Season 2, Episode 1, Masks. On that episode, we have That's Jack as our intro.
When finding a pumpkin in a pumpkin patch to carve into a jack-o'-lantern, pick the biggest one so that you can carve the biggest smile. But remember, don't ever take home the pumpkins that are already smiling while still on the vine. Those are not friendly, and never will be. That's it for now. Thank you.
We followed that up with my short dental horror story, The Dentist.
Dr. Olson, DDS, stands on his porch with a plastic pumpkin brimming with treats. Parents are often surprised that the local dentist does not hand out miniature toothbrushes, but he never saw the fun in that. He hands out candy like everybody else. He watches a pink princess and her family trudge through the dead leaves on the sidewalk and recognizes the children as 3 of his newer patients. The crunch of the princess's tiny slippers stops at the edge of his driveway the moment she recognizes the doctor's face.
I wanna go.
The little handyman poking her in the back with a toy drill is one of her older brothers, Lucas. The tallest, a pirate tugging at her tiara with a hook hand, is Jackson. They chant in unison, Sarah, Scara, Sarah, Scara. Sarah's father kneels down and places his hands on her thin shoulders. I know going to the dentist is scary, but Dr. Olson is only here to keep your teeth healthy. She responds with a gloomy nod and steps onto the neat white paving stones. Lucas and Jackson run ahead, racing each other to the front porch. Dr. Olson leans over them with a flawless smile.
Trick or treat.
Wow, cool costumes! A handyman and a pirate?
Jackson looks up and cringes. The bent silhouette of Dr. Olson, looming in the glare of the porch light, conjures thoughts of sitting in the dentist's chair. He flips his eye patch down. Lucas tries to hold a fake smile, but the stubs of his new front teeth remind him of his last, painful visit.
Is that little Sarah Blaine I see?
Sarah hides behind her brothers, but they have become small and mute, unable to shield her from the memories of the long stabbing needle and shrill, screaming drill. She holds out her bag from between their bodies, and her brothers do the same.
Here you go.
Dr. Olson fills their bags with generous portions of candy. The bright stream of goodies temporarily erases their fears. When the last piece drops, they turn as one and dash down the steps. "Kids," their father chides from the edge of the driveway. They reluctantly turn back and drone. "Thank you, Dr. Olson." The children leave, swinging their bags full of caramels, dots, Swedish fish, sour chews, and fist-sized jawbreakers. Each candy has been chosen for its superior ability to cling, dissolve enamel, crack teeth, and supercharge cavity-causing bacteria. Dr. Olson enjoys Halloween more than anyone. Soon, it will be his turn to put on a mask and wave his hook and drill. The sugary seeds he has sown tonight will become a bountiful harvest of rotten teeth, bleeding gums, tears, and, best of all, terror. He flashes another gleaming smile and calls to the children.
See you soon.
You have a friend who's a dentist that is a fan of dental horror stories.
Yeah, you really like that one. Your piece is fantastic. I mean, it really, what I want the show to be. I think that's an awesome idea. And it also combines some of my favorite VO people that I work with, including my wife and daughter, make an appearance in those segments.
And here's the final segment titled Yet.
My wife talked in her sleep last night. She spoke so fast that her words sounded like another language. Her body swayed to an invisible rhythm, out of sync with her head, which was turning and pivoting as she cried through rapid cycles of fear and joy. Her eyes danced under her lids, rapidly dreaming. Whatever she was witnessing seemed to encompass the spectrum of human experience. I was too afraid to wake her, or I was afraid to drag her from the experience, even though I still don't know if it was positive or negative. Her body stilled. Her eyes opened. They looked like there was nothing else they needed to see. I asked her what she had been dreaming about. She looked away for a moment, and then turned back to me.
"They don't want you to know. Yet,"
she said, and then closed her eyes and fell soundly asleep. She can't recall the dream or remember her words. One word in particular continues to keep me up at night.
"They don't want you to know. Yet, 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 yet."
So, Patrick, what was your inspiration for this particular piece?
Yet came from the fact that my wife used to talk in her sleep a lot, and she used to say some of the weirdest stuff. But the craziest thing about it is that she would say things to me, and it would look like she was awake. The more that you would talk to her, you'd realize she wasn't. The more that I would question her about it, you would see like it was hard for her to think. And eventually she would just pass out again. So that's how I got the idea for that, is that what if she said something really not of her personality, like really out there? What if she said something that was really disturbing and not remember it at all?
I had a feeling there was some personal angle to it. It's such an eerie idea that there's communication there with someone that should be familiar that has become strange. And that is such a nice touch of subtle horror. That's really creepy.
You know, her and I have been married for 10 years now and have been together for about 15. And there's always this idea that, like, as well as her and I know each other, when I look at her just sleeping, thinking about, you know, her own problems, having her mind work it out in her dreams, you can never truly know somebody 100%. It is, yeah, it's very alienating. And so the idea of this alienation also doing something behind both of our backs and using her mind to do it kind of took that idea a little farther. I think that's why I like the piece so much, because it implies a little human psychology, but also like this idea of dreams being this veil.
The theme of that whole episode is masks.
Yes, you look at somebody, what's going on behind their eyes.
You were kind enough to share a sneak preview of the season 3 premiere with me, fresh off the presses.
Finished it today, yep.
Let's play the intro for that.
A chilly autumn wind blows dead leaves across a blood-red sunset. Now that the bright greens and the heat of the summer have died, you feel more alive. October is here, and Halloween is coming.
I place a hand on the boy's shoulder as we stare up at the house. That house. I tell him, it looks normal on the outside until you concentrate on the details. The frame leans, cracks run in nearly every row of siding. Remnants of a lattice fence frame the porch. The house is yellow, but if you had seen it when it was first constructed, you would know that it was originally white. That house. You know the one. You know someone lives there because garbage piles onto their curb every week. The paperboy throws the daily on the lawn and it's gone by mid-morning. You never see who lives there, of course, except the moments you catch a glimpse of someone out of the corner of your eye right before the door slams. The lights are always on, but the curtains are always drawn. Every once in a while a sound comes from inside that you cannot quite place. One moment it is too high-pitched to be machinery. Another moment, the sound is too low to be human. The boy takes a nearly imperceptible step backward. "Why are you telling me this?" he asks. I kneel down and turn him around so we are facing each other. It's man-to-man time. People will wonder what is going on inside that house, but that is not for them to know. To know is to risk knowing too much. Do you understand? He nods his head, but I need him to retain the grave importance of what I am trying to tell him. Every neighborhood has this house. People always want to know. Your friends will want to know. I use my finger to lift his chin, demanding his eyes meet mine. They can never know. He nods again, without blinking. I think he gets it. I know you do. Everyone has lived down the street from that house. Nothing good ever comes from that house. Come now, I say to him, placing a hand on his shoulder. We have a lot of work to catch up on. I lead him across the yellowing grass, up the creaky stairs, and through the door that is barely hanging from its rusty hinges. We step inside that house. You know the one.
The first full story in this episode is called There Is a House.
Yeah, There's a House is the first short I wrote for the season. It was getting me excited, kind of got me in the mood to start, writing more. And it's basically this idea that probably my favorite trope or topic when it comes to Halloween and horror is, the real life stuff where every street and every town has that one house that kids don't go near. I love writing about that one house. I was just like, all right, well, how would you explain it to a little kid? The concept of that one house.
It was a nice twist on something that I know is very near and dear to your heart.
I feel like that's the core of why I write. I love looking at things that just fascinate me and playing with them like Play-Doh, like just seeing all the different sides. Everybody has this universal understanding of that house. But what if that house was my house?
What is the theme for this episode?
I think the theme of this episode is taking ordinary and going into the extraordinary. One of the reasons I made that story, the idea of stepping inside, kind of my little cute way of saying, welcome to season 3, welcome to another season of Halloween. It's actually bookended with a really beautiful poem by Erin Al-Mahari.
Eva doesn't want to put on her costume of witch or cat or pink Power Ranger. She wants to wrap up in the gauze of time, in a mummy's trappings, and run through sand-drenched streets. She wants to hop on the trolley near Wade and blend in, quietly assessing the onlookers who seek a haunted tour near Lakeview. But she has plans to see dead of another sort. She wants to jump off the rail, as they do in the movies, glide inside the Museum of Art as if in ballet shoes, and move to the rhythm of passion and history. Eva winds her way to the marble catacombs of sarcophagus and statue, lightly carrying herself on the chill breeze from the hauntings of the ancients risen before her. She puts her arms out left and right, smiling, as the mummies slowly step toward her in the dark and empty room, taking her in their arms, and they dance, swaying, waltzing to the music of magic and fortune, of sacrifice and power, their decaying faces alight again with rebirth and hope, mobilizing her spirit. Water of the Nile, green reeds of salvation, scarabs rustling, and blue funerary carvings whirl by her entranced mind, as if she's time-slipped to Cairo. She has no need for trick-or-treat or bobbing for apples. She'd rather laugh and drink and sing with the priests and goddesses from thrones centuries ago, eat olives and grapes instead of Smarties and Tootsie Rolls. Eva closes her eyes and she twirls, her hair flying backwards, spinning like a windmill, feeling her own energy, laughing with the ghosts and the monsters before her as they take turns in a ballroom dance for her soul.
She wrote this beautiful poem about mummies. Instead of it just being about Halloween, it's saying, take what you have for Halloween. I don't want to just celebrate it. I want to be it. It's almost saying, I don't want to be just one of the people celebrating it. I want to be its queen. The monsters dance for me. I don't dance for them. This whole idea of stepping over the threshold and really making it your own, which is kind of what I try to do every season with this, is really try to make something that people can grab onto and help celebrate the season.
I thought it was such an interesting poem because, as we were saying, to take a subject and look at it from different angles, this year I've really been thinking about the different aspects of Halloween. I'm always interested in this idea of the veil is thin, we deal with loved ones who've passed away, our ancestors, things like that, but to make the connection to Egyptian culture, which goes back at least 5,000 years. The story of human funereal practices is really the story of Egypt because it was so central to their culture. They maintained it 2.5 times longer than our concept of modern history. That we can have any holiday that touches the idea of the dead or the dead coming back or communing with those who've passed and not bring in the Egyptians is really amazing.
Yeah, I feel like people don't understand how long that culture lasted. It's almost unfathomable. One thing I love about Halloween is that, as you said, you can look at it in 100 ways. Some could argue it's a uniquely American holiday in the way that it takes all of the other cultures. I like to think of it a little differently. I think it's a holiday regardless of history and nationality because it combines the one thing that we do have in common. Right now, 2023 America has in common with ancient Egypt, that has in common with ancient Greece, that has in common with England in 1963 is that we all fear death. We all mourn our losses and we all have to go through it. So I love Halloween for that reason, that you can take something so ancient and so new and we're all really talking about the heart of the same thing, which is death. That's why I think Halloween endures more than anything.
I read something really interesting recently. Two of the celebrations that were combined to make Halloween were the Celtic Samhain and the Catholic All Saints' Day. But in Mexico, when the Spanish met with Aztec and Mayan civilizations, their festivals were combined with All Saints' Day to become Dia de los Muertos.
I think it's great. Even with the show, I try to get all cultures involved, all religions, everybody's perspective on it, because it's the one thing we all have in common.
What did you learn from season 1 and season 2 that informed your approach to season 3 of the October Children?
To let it be a lot more of a mix of things. This is the first year I really did the social blast of having people give me their own things. I put it out to everybody. But that's another reason why I love season 2, episode 1, because you were the first person who ever really contacted me about the show. You liked it. And so to have you on the episode was really awesome. And that kind of inspired me, especially with season 3. Like, I'm just going to give it to everybody. Like, whoever wants to be a part of this, be a part of it. And so this season, we have all different kinds of writers. We have poets. We have a musical artist who's debuting her song on her new album on episode 3, and it's beautiful. Which is good in the long run too, because it means I had less work to do, which is even better. But yeah, it's great. I love working with people, and so the amount of feedback I've gotten, the amount of just different kinds of artwork that has been sent, has really told me that this is the right way to do it.
You had mentioned in our offline discussions a little bit of Christmas spirit into the season.
Oh, yes, I am actually. So, again, with what I said about getting other people's work together, I got a bunch of ghost stories and Christmas horror stories from people because I love writing Christmas ghost stories, or just horror in the snow, I guess, is a great genre.
Snowbound horror.
Snowbound horror. I love it. I love writing Christmas ghost stories personally. And I received a really, really good one from Laurel Hightower, which is actually, I believe it's featured in her latest collection, Every Woman Knows This. And I received one from you, actually, that I absolutely loved. So I said, let's do, instead of, you always hear Christmas in July, I said, let's do Christmas in October. The episode for the Halloween episode is going to be Christmas in October Ghost Story Collection.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be really great.
You had mentioned in our last discussion you were planning on getting a pumpkin with a Santa hat tattoo.
I did. I have not gotten it yet. I know. I want to. My wife keeps yelling at me that I have to get it this year. And I think she's right. I think she's right. I think that this is the year I get it. So don't be surprised if, like, by next week you get it, like, a text from me saying, I got it.
Can you bring an audio recorder to the tattoo parlor with you for the Christmas in October episode?
Just for you, I will. Absolutely.
Yeah, but, like, talk to the tattoo artist. They're an artist, too.
I will absolutely do that. Yeah.
It'd be fucking amazing,
idea.
Dude.
Okay, I'm on it. That's a perfect idea. I'll bring my Zoom recorder in and everything. That's great. I meant to get that tattoo, and I want to get a Predator tattoo to go with my alien tattoo.
The dichotomy in every man.
Yeah.
The alien and the Predator.
Exactly. You have two beasts inside of you. One is an alien, one is a Predator.
Are there any plans to upload it as a podcast?
So it is up on Apple and Spotify right now, the first 2 seasons, and I will start uploading the third as they get released. I think after all is said and done this month with getting everything produced, I think I'm definitely going to keep it going because at this point, I'll now have like about 20 episodes and would love to get an audience there as well. Cool. So especially prep for next year in case more people want to participate.
Have you been keeping up with any other multimedia projects in between seasons of The October Children?
I've been really throwing myself into just writing as much as possible. I have a story coming out in an anthology called Open All Night by Atomic Books. It's coming out October 24th, I believe. That's my latest. I've been working on selling my first novel, and I've been working on a coffee table illustration version of The October Children, which is near completion, actually. I just got the cover design from my illustrator a few days ago, and it looks beautiful. So hopefully that'll be out sometime soon.
Awesome. I was going to ask for a follow-up on the coffee table book. So, Patrick, where can our listeners find you online?
theoctoberchildren.squarespace.com is the website, so you can find all of the info there. I have a Wix site for my other work, my writing and anthologies that I'm in. I've been doing a lot of writing on Medium, which is more realistic nonfiction things, as well as a couple poetry bits that I have on there. The easiest way to get a hold of me is on Twitter at Peak37PT. You can just find it under my name as well. I love hearing back from people. I love feedback. If you like the show, please contact me. Let me know. If you don't like the show, any feedback is good.
And where can people subscribe to the October Children podcast?
Right now it's up on any Apple Podcast app and Spotify.
I will include links in the show notes. I can't wait to hear the rest of season 3. Merry Christmas in October and Happy Halloween.
You too.
Please subscribe and follow. Links are in the show notes. You can find me at jeffccarter.com and hit the link to pick up my collection, We Bleed Orange and Black, 31 fun-sized tales for Halloween. Until next time, stay spooktacular.